DPS. I'm really excited to have you all joining us today. Let me tell you this, I'm really excited. This is my 4th year. I'm starting my 4th year as a superintendent here. This is a wonderful community. Durham is a good place to live, and Durham is a good place to raise your kids as well. I'm really excited about Durham as well as DPS because of our strategic plan that we have in place. It's a good blueprint that have two keywords that I'm going to explain a little bit in a few minutes. We strongly believe in equity. Anything that I would like for you to take away today is equity. We strongly believe in that. We also believe in shared responsibility and share leadership as well. Really make sure that we hire good principals that strongly believe they cannot do the work by themselves. They have to share responsibility as well as the leadership. And I always tell our principals this, education is one of the few professions that almost everybody has a college degree. You have to believe in those people. You have to tap to those resources because they're going to be able to help you to move your school forward. With responsibility, with leadership, we strongly believe that you all can chip in and be able to help our babies. That's the way I call our students our babies. Anytime I visit your classroom, I'm going to ask you, are we making progress? Our babies are learning. That will be my question to you. And I'm going to hold my schools and our principals and all of you guys accountable for that. But I also want you to hold me accountable for the support that you need to make sure that you're getting the job done. And I'm going to start with the support that we have in place. We have a wonderful Board of Education. And if you get an opportunity to read through our policies, they give our staff, our teachers, a lot of power. They make sure that your voices are heard. So along the support that you get from our Board of Education, they are strong proponent of making sure that the DPS, we are paying good supplements to our teachers. So for the past 3 or 4 years, we have been increasing our teacher supplements. I don't want you to recall me on, to quote me on this, I think we're probably the 3rd or the 4th best pay school district in the state. And our goal, it will always be, we want to be number 1. I think we are probably the 3rd. We really want to get to number 1. And our board is really committed to make sure that our teachers are well compensated. Along with good supplements, as your superintendent, I strongly believe that your voices need to be around the table as you're making decisions in your school improvement plan process. I want your voices to be heard. Let me tell you the support system that you have in place. Dr. Danny just introduced himself. We have a wonderful professional development department that's going to support you. They're going to work with you. They're going to hold your hands. And especially for those of you beginner teachers, we're going to be there with you to make sure the first 3 years, you're going to sail through it. And then after having your 3 years under your belt, then you can claim education as your profession. We always hire good principals that strongly believe in shared responsibility as well, sharing leadership. We have mentors in our schools. A lot of places, they don't have them. So they're going to be there along with you, supporting you. We have instructional coaches in every school to make sure they can model lessons for you. They can be a sounding board for you whenever you have questions, and especially bring your teachers. You know, the good thing about North Carolina public education, you have to own your career. You have to be responsible for the renewal of your license. You're responsible for your professional development. We're not going to force you to go to professional development, but you are responsible to make that. Once we get back in the building, that's going to be a great opportunity for you to go and be able to visit some veterans classrooms. That's how you grow. You have to own your own professional development, but you can do this also virtually. We want you to be able to collaborate with your peers. That's the way you are going to grow. We strongly believe on PLC, and we're advocating for PLC. Your principal, just one person in a school that has about 500 all the way to 2,000 students. Your principal cannot come and support you all the time. Make sure you're intentional when you go to those PLC for your own professional learning. I'm really excited to invite you to 2020-21 school year. It's going to be a great year. There are going to be some challenges as we are all embarking in this technology. I know, especially those of you that just graduated from college, you're well equipped, ready to go. And some of the returning one, we're going to hold your hands. We're going to work together to make sure that you have all the tools to make sure that you can navigate through Canvas. So we're excited to have you as your superintendent. It's just an email away. We are here to hear your concerns. We are here to support you. Welcome to DPS. I'm going to introduce now a wonderful board member, our vice chair of the board, Mr. Lee.
Hello, everyone, and thank you very much for joining Durham Public Schools. My name is Mike Lee. I am the vice chair of the Board of Education, and I could not be more excited to be here. Now, I'm not a teacher. I don't have an education background. So in these cases, this is usually the only time I get to, pretend as a teacher here. So I'm going to change my background because I want to use this to kind of express my point here. If you can see behind me now, it's a chalkboard, and I actually get to say Mr. Lee's class here. Most of you guys are going to be starting this year online. I guess everyone is, because we made that decision. And this is going to be different for everyone. However, your importance to the children of Durham Public Schools is no less weighted simply because we're online. It's even more weighted because our children need the faces of our teachers, the faces of our staff to see every day. I have 3 children, Nicholas, Cameron, and Peyton. And Nicholas is in the in the 8th grade now. Man, time has flown. And Cameron and Peyton are twins. They go into the 4th grade. And as I always say at these types of events, the teachers are just as much a part of our family as we are, their parents are. So on that note, I just wanted to talk about our logo now. I know many of the staff who are present have heard me say this before, so I apologize in advance. But right over here is our logo. Now you're going to see this logo, this Durham Public Schools logo, the Spark, on a lot of different things that you get. Your contract, you're going to see it on different flyers, you're going to see it at your schools, on the website, and so forth. And I'd like to talk about it, especially to the Buchanan Teachers Orientation, because of what it actually means. So each time that you see this logo, I want you to take a moment to think about, where in this logo are you? Where in the Spark are you? And so let me explain just really quickly. I don't have a lot of time. They constricted me. If anyone knows, I speak a long time. So I'm really trying to kind of keep it succinct, because there's so many more important people than myself that need to speak. But I want you to take a quick look at the logo. If you have it with you, if you can see it on my screen, or whenever you run across it, I want you to take a really close look. The logo is composed of some items. You see a little circle in the very middle. I want you to consider that what DPS is as a whole, just the organization itself. The circle in the very middle is a little white circle. And coming out from the circles are little sticks with little circles at the end of it. I call them popsicle sticks. Now, when you look a little closer to this logo, you see that there is no 2 sticks, popsicle sticks, that are the same length. That's very important because there's no 2 children in our school that are the same distance from the center. There are no 2 children who are the same. And that's going to be very important, especially to recognize when we're on this online format. There's a lot of different needs in our community. There's a lot of different levels of motivation. There's a lot of different levels of, education or the supports that they have at home. It is our responsibility, your responsibility, to meet our children where they are. Sometimes it's going to take a little extra work. And so that's going to be a little further away from the center. But we have to reach out and get them there. Some of them, they're just going to make straight A's with barely any effort. Well, that's a little closer to the circle. So it's not as much work, but just as important. But a couple years ago, I was looking a little closer at this logo. And if you look in the very, very middle, like I said, the very middle is the white circle. It's actually not a circle at all. It's just where the popsicle sticks meet. There are no borders. There are no borders to what DPS can do. There's no borders or constraints on what we are as a school system. Because like Dr. Mabenga said a little earlier, we try to give our teachers as much flexibility to go out and meet our children and to do what they need to do to reach them where they are. So this is an ever expanding circle here. There's an ever expanding types of services that we can provide or flexibilities that we can provide. And it's up to you all, since this is your first year. Some of you all are first year teachers. Some of you all are teachers from other districts that might be coming here to bring your talents here. It's up to you to continue to grow this spark of reaching our children where they are. My children's teachers, I love my children's teachers, whoever they might be. I know that we entrust our children with you every single day. A lot of times, when my children are calling out for me or my wife, they actually call us their teachers' names. And that's fine. That means that just shows the importance that you have in our children. So again, thank you all for being here in Durham Public Schools. You all are our resource. You all are our service. We look forward to supporting you. We look forward to hearing from you. We appreciate everything that you do. It's going to be a tough year. Nobody's taking that from you. But I know that every single person here will be able to contribute to the lives of Durham Public Schools children in ways that no one can prepare for. So thank you very, very much. And from here, I would like to introduce our Deputy Superintendent, Nakia Hardy.
Thank you, Vice Chairman Lee. Good morning, everyone. We are super excited that you have decided to join the DPS family. If I can ask Ms. Naifong to pull up our presentation. I have just a few things that I want to share with you today. Thank you so much. If you'll go to the next slide, please. Today is the first day, and I'm sure as you guys were joining this virtual meeting, you had those butterflies and kind of bugs in your stomach thinking about, this is the first day I'm getting ready to learn to get ready for my kids. And before you know it, you will be in our Zoom meetings with our staff and faculty next week, meeting your colleagues, and then you will have the great opportunity to meet our children. All of our wonderful babies are going to be coming right to you in a setting very similar to this on August 17th. And you'll get to see all of their faces, their excitement. Some of them might even have some tears. Our little kindergartner might even be a little scared or nervous. But you will get to see all of them and get excited about the upcoming school year. Next slide, please. I want to share with you just a little bit about myself as we think about what is going to happen for this upcoming year. I was a North Carolina teaching fellow, so I went to school to be a teacher, and it was something that I wanted to do because I felt like that was the best option and the best career for me. I focused on chemistry and physics. And so I taught high school chemistry, and I went to Appalachian State University. I don't know how many mountaineers we might have in the audience. I love the mountains, go back to homecoming every single year. I taught high school chemistry for 5 years, and then I transitioned to becoming an assistant principal, and I've had the great opportunity to work in central offices in North Carolina and in Maryland. My graduate degrees are from Carolina, so there might be some Tar Heel fans out there in the audience. And then you see probably something that I always want to share with our new folks and people that I get to meet, because I think that it's so important, not only as we are in this particular setting, but as we work with our children, that we make these wonderful connections. And I'm going to talk more about relationships, but it's so important that you make these connections, even in this virtual format that we're going to be in as we continue the first 9 weeks here in Durham Public Schools. So what you'll see is at the bottom is the QVC icon. And so family and friends are super important to me, but I love QVC. And for those of you who don't know, it's kind of like a home shopping network, but for me, it's my own TV show. There are hosts that come in and they talk about clothes and cooking, and I feel like I have a connection to them. I am a shopper at heart, and it is something that just makes my heart get really, really excited. But it is something that I really enjoy. And I say that because your first year is always one of your challenging years. You're excited, but you're trying to navigate everything. It's so important that you take some time for yourself and do the things that you enjoy. For some of you, that might be going on a very brisk walk. For others, it might be meditation. It might be spending some quiet time with your spouse or your children. It might be sitting in a quiet space at your home and reading a book. I've also gotten into adult coloring, so it might be coloring. It might be some meditation, maybe reading a faith-based book or the Bible. For me, it's sometimes sitting back, watching QVC and relaxing. And we want you to take time as you are working really diligently to provide those lessons and experiences for your children, but take time to refresh yourself, because the only way you can bring your best self to your children is if you take care of yourself. If you'll go to the next slide, please. So I'm going to talk with you briefly about 4 big buckets. And the 4 big buckets are regarding relationships, communication, and collaboration. And then the last one is learning. And I probably this year should make that the biggest bucket. As we transition into this virtual space, we are just as much learners as we are leaders and teachers in the classroom. We are going to be teaching remotely and providing engaging lessons for our students. We are learning to use our learning management system, incorporating all kinds of instructional and technology tools that are really going to help our students learn and become engaged in the content, and make sure that our students have the opportunity to build relationships within their classroom. All of that is new for us in this virtual remote space. Next slide, please. Dr. Mabinga mentioned our strategic plan, and it is truly at the core of the work that we do here in Durham Public Schools. When you have an opportunity on our website, as well as if you go to your buildings, you will see resources aligned to our strategic plan. As Dr. Mabinga mentioned, we have our 4 core beliefs that anchor our work, and one of those is equity. And it is so important that in all that we do, we think through our equity lens to ensure that each and every one of our students have all of the opportunities that they need, but most importantly, that they deserve. If you go to the next slide, please. Our strategic plan is built into 5 plan priorities. And these 5 priorities are: increase academic achievement, provide a safe school environment that supports the whole child, attract and retain outstanding educators and staff, strengthen school, family, and community engagement, and then ensure fiscal and operational responsibility. I want to highlight today number 2, because we have been in our COVID closure since March. And so many of our children and families, just as you, have experienced life-changing experiences due to our pandemic. And as we welcome back our children, all of our other priorities are extremely important. And we know what you're going to be teaching them is critical. But I want you to make sure that in those beginning moments and days, you do everything you can to ensure that our children feel safe, that they feel cared for, and that you are honoring them as young people and young adults. They are so excited to come back to school because they have missed our teachers. They are yearning for consistency in their life. They are yearning for something that is stable. And they also are yearning for an outlet and an opportunity to express themselves. And so please, as you are thinking through all of the wonderful activities that you will plan, how you open and begin every single synchronous session and connect with your children is an opportunity to make sure that they feel safe and that they feel cared for. And that is going to ensure that all the other things that you want to share with them, that is going to fall in place. Once they know that you care for them and that you love them, they will go to the moon for you, and they will do anything and everything to ensure that they are not only being successful in your classroom, but that they are honoring the expectations that you have for them. Next slide, please. So just a few tips for success. There is a video that I want to share with you, and then I'm going to wrap it up and turn it over to my colleagues. Next slide, please. So here are some tips. Remember, I said that we were going to talk about collaboration and learning and relationships. And so these are some nuggets that I would like to share with you. So the first is regarding relationships. And you're going to see a quick video from Rita Pearson, who is absolutely one of my favorite educators. It is so important that you allow your students to get to know you. Share something with them that you feel comfortable so they can begin to make a connection with you. And as Vice Chairman Lee said, you are part of our children and their families. You're part of their lives. And so building those relationships is going to ensure that you have success. The next one is just asking for help. It is so important as we are beginning this upcoming year. None of us know it all, especially in this new remote learning space. So make sure that you reach out at the elementary level. You've got your grade level chairs, your teaching and learning coaches, assistant principals. At the middle and high school level, you also have department chairs. You have restorative practice coordinators. You have school counselors. You have so many staff that are there that want to help and support you. And even though we are in this virtual space, you'll be in Zoom meetings where you can put things in the chat. You can reach out to your principals. So don't hesitate to ask for help. And finally, we want you to use your full-time release mentor. Dr. Mbinga mentioned we are one of the few districts that have our full-time release mentors because we are committed to ensuring that as beginning educators that you are successful. The next one is don't be afraid to make a mistake and go out on a limb. Try some new instructional strategies. If you find a new technology tool that you want to integrate into your Canvas class, try it and see what happens. Know that we want you to take risks. Those risks that you take are going to ensure that your classroom is engaging. It's also going to let your students know that you are really challenging them and willing to take risks, because ultimately we want to create learners and citizens that are willing to take risks. In the event that something happens and the technology tool doesn't go well, learn from those mistakes and use that as you are planning your next lesson or next activity. As I mentioned, never stop learning. This is a place this year where we are going to critically have to be learners. One of the things that I shared with my leadership team last week is that, I often say that I, taught and was a teacher in the dark ages. And through all of my education work, I never took an online class at all. And one of the things I am responsible for is working with our academic team in providing remote and online instruction for 33,000 kids. So this has been a true learning experience for me. I have been reading, playing with all kinds of tools, into developing my Canvas course, creating modules, sending assignments, into all of the tools that we have, because this is something that's also new for me. So always make sure that you take the opportunity to learn. There are going to be lots of professional organizations out there. I challenge you, when you can, take advantage of those organizations, get on listservs, develop a professional Twitter profile so that you can participate in Twitter chats and get information. This is your opportunity to continue to be a learner. And finally, before we see the video, is I want to acknowledge that there are going to be some days that are going to be harder than others. But when you have those tough days, I really would like for you to take a minute and to think about why you made the wonderful decision to become a teacher. And it has everything to do with the children that you get to interact with every day. Your smile, the activities that you provide, the connection that you provide, all of that creates a culture and an opportunity for our children to be successful. And this is why we do this every single day. So even when you're having a day that might be a little bit more challenging than others, I always want you to remember that you are in the right place at the right time to work with our 33,000 children. Next, we're going to see a video from Rita Pearson. And so Ms. Naifong is going to get that. Rita Pearson talks about the power of relationships. Ms. Naifong, I'm not hearing sound, but they might be hearing sound on the YouTube. If you'll give us 1 minute, I think we are working on the sound. And so there'll just be 1 more minute, and then I think we can bring back the video.
Understand as opposed to being understood. Simple things like apologizing. You ever thought about that? Tell a kid you're sorry, they're in shock. I taught a lesson once on ratios. I'm not real good with math, but I was working on it. And I got back and looked at that teacher edition. I taught the whole lesson wrong. So I came back to class the next day and I said, look, guys, I need to apologize. I taught the whole lesson wrong. I'm so sorry. They said, that's okay, Miss Pearson. You were so excited. We just let you go. For years, I watched my mother take the time at recess to review, go on home visits in the afternoon, buy combs and brushes and peanut butter and crackers to put in her desk drawer for kids that needed to eat, and a washcloth and some soap for the kids who didn't smell so good. See, it's hard to teach kids who stink. And kids can be cruel. And so she kept those things in her desk, and years later, after she retired, I watched some of those same kids come through and say to her, you know, Miss Walker, you made a difference in my life. You made it work for me. You made me feel like I was somebody when I knew at the bottom I wasn't. And I want you to just see what I've become. And when my mama died 2 years ago at 92, there were so many former students at her funeral. It brought tears to my eyes, not because she was gone, but because she left a legacy of relationships that could never disappear.
Thank you so much, Ms. Naifong. If you can bring back up the presentation. This video link it's a 3-minute video clip, and we'll make sure that you have the link. If you can go to the next slide, it's only about 3 minutes. The power of relationships is so important. And I want you to know that although we are in a different mode of how we create those relationships, it is so important that you connect with every single child. And the way you are able to do that as you get to know them, share some things with them about you so that they also get to know you. It is a two-way street. every time we have the opportunity to get together and I'm invited to talk to our new teachers or our superintendent's teacher advisory, I always want to make sure that I share something with you personally about my life that you will get to see. You will also get a monthly edition of notes from Nakia. And in that, you will also see glimpses of the things that I'm doing in my personal life and sharing with you, articles that I'm reading, things that are coming up not only in education, but in the world, because I want you to get to know me. And I want to make sure that you are having the opportunity to get to know your students. The power of having a relationship with each and every child is going to ensure that you have a successful year. So in closing, I want to leave you with two things. The first thing that I want to share with you is one of my favorite children's books. When you have the opportunity to stop by Fuller Building, when we're back opened up and everything is back to normal, one of the things that you'll see in my office there are 4 bookshelves, and they're mostly filled with kids' books, because they just bring me joy and happiness. And this is coming from What Do You Do with a Chance, but it's part of a series with what do you do with an idea, what do you do with a chance, and what do you do with a problem. And what do you do with a chance is all about opportunities. All of us in our own lives, personal and professional, have had chances that have come by. And when those chances come, we have a choice. We get to choose to look towards that chance and opportunity and take it. Or sometimes we look at it and we say, oh no, I'm going to take a step back. I'm not going to do that particular chance or opportunity. So I want you to think about this particular opportunity and moment in time. You have an opportunity and a chance to really transform and innovate in education. We've never been here before. We have the great opportunity to provide remote instruction that is engaging, that is challenging, that meets the needs of our children, and that connects to them in a way that we've never done before. So what do you do with the chance? I want you to take it, because it might just be the start of something absolutely incredible. So you cannot take the opportunity to retreat this time. With this chance, you must stand up and take it. The last thing, many of you have seen on the news and are aware that we lost one of our great equity leaders, John Lewis. And if you take some time to read about what you might see called good trouble from Representative Lewis, as a young man, very young, working alongside Martin Luther King Jr., really paving the way and truly being an equity pioneer for us. And I just want to leave you with this final thought around, we often wonder when we open a new chapter and we are beginning our new career in teaching, am I in the right place at the right time? Did I make the right decision? Am I where I'm supposed to be? And I just want you to know you are in the right place at the right time. You are here to serve and to work with the children of Durham Public Schools. And what John Lewis would say, if not us, then who? And if not now, then when? Right now, we have the opportunity to change the lives of the children in Durham. And that happens because of each one of you as you work with our children. It is my absolute pleasure to serve in Durham Public Schools. Welcome as beginning teachers. We are happy to have you. If we were at Hillside High School right now, I'd be walking up the aisles, touching and hugging everyone. I am so excited that you have made the choice to be here with us. You are going to have an excellent year. As I put on this slide, hashtag best year ever. Now it is my pleasure to introduce one of my colleagues, one of my dearest friends, and someone who I really, really trust, and that you will get to know and trust as well. Ms. Arasi Atkins, our Assistant Superintendent for Human Resources. Ms. Atkins.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much, Dr. Hardy. That was wonderful information. And I promise you all, when you hear what I have to say, we didn't compare notes or do talking points. I do want to unpack a little bit about something that Dr. Hardy mentioned about taking care of yourself. So one of the things that I really want you to know is that we want you to feel extravagantly welcomed and extravagantly loved here at DPS. We really are grateful that you chose us and that we hope that you continue to choose us year after year. I wanted to talk to you about just a couple of things that have helped me. As we've talked about, this is going to be an extraordinarily challenging year. And we often talk about taking care of one's emotional health, we want you to know that it's not just your professional learning and your professional growth. This is going to be a time of tremendous growth, tremendous opportunity, and tremendous challenge. And with that, we want to stress that we care not only about your professional growth, but your emotional health. We often talk about self-care. Dr. Hardy mentioned, have some time to take care of yourself and what that might look like. So I want to unpack a couple of things that have helped me. As many of you may recognize, being the head of HR in a 5,000 employee organization can be really stressful sometimes. And so these things personally help me. The first thing is that if you're encountering an issue or problem, this is going to be whenever somebody comes to a new organization, either as a brand new employee or maybe a returning employee, or maybe you've been a teacher for 1 or 2 years and coming from another district, it's still going to be difficult to navigate sometimes. And we don't want this to be overwhelming for you. So one piece of advice I have is to find an anchor department or an anchor person that you could go to if you encounter an issue. So for example, something with your pay, God forbid, don't worry. We are really, we have an excellent finance and payroll department. Everybody gets paid on time and we love it. It's awesome. It's very, very smooth. But if you have an issue, maybe it's a curriculum issue, maybe it's a question, try to find somebody, even 1 or 2 people. It could be somebody within your school. It could be somebody in a central office department. It could be somebody in HR. I'd be honored if it was me or one of my 20 colleagues that work in HR. You certainly have your full release mentors and our wonderful colleagues in the beginning teacher department. So find somebody that can be your go-to person in helping you navigate something that you might have an issue with. So that's one. The second thing is I always tell people to find a lifeline. And here's my 2 lifelines, a piece of advice. One is to find somebody in DPS that you can vent to, that you can share your issues with, somebody who knows the players, that they know the issues, they understand what you're talking about. I love my husband. I've been with him for over 20 years, but talking to him about work issues is kind of like talking to the sky because he doesn't know the people that I'm talking about. He doesn't know the intricacies of the issues. I'm sure it's the same with his job. I wish that Dr. Hardy was on the call because that person to me in this district is Dr. Hardy. And so we really call each other our lifelines. So I would choose somebody who is calm and confidential. You definitely don't want to pick somebody who's going to try to, boost you up and escalate further. The person that you're trying to look for is somebody that you can really help talk through an issue to try to bring it down to a manageable level. So one person, one lifeline, I would suggest that it's in DPS, and then definitely have somebody outside of work with whom you can vent. We don't want work to consume you. And so sometimes if you're only talking to your colleagues or only talking to your lifeline at work, you have a tendency to kind of get wrapped up all in work. Again, we want to focus on your emotional health too. And part of that is having a life outside of work. Again, this is going to be a tremendously challenging year. Have somebody outside of work with whom you can vent. For me, it's my husband. Like I said, doesn't know anything about, we rarely talk about work because like I said, it's like talking to the sky. But, he's my confidant. I can talk to him about issues that I'm having. And I know that he'll understand. The third thing is probably the most important thing. And maybe it's for some of you, it may sound frou-frou or just overly abstract, but I really think that for me, this has helped anyway, is practicing mindfulness and breathing. I've really been focusing on lately focused breathing. And I want you, sometimes when I talk to people about this, they think it's, that sounds all good, but I don't even know where to begin. Or they think it's not really helpful or something that's real and tangible. But I wanted to let you know that this is research-based and it's brain science, really. And last year, there was a recent study in the Journal of Neurophysiology. See, I'm just saying that to prove to you that it's not just me, I'm not just a quack, but it is, proven in science that measured breathing and focusing on breathing and mindfulness and meditation can really help you. And I'm going to read you a quote that different breathing patterns activate our brain networks related to mood, attention, and body awareness. For some folks, it's praying. For some folks, it's meditation. It could be a variety of paths, but I would really encourage you you can even start small. You can do practice focused breathing in 1 minute to 5 minutes a day. So I'd really want to leave you with that it really will help your overall emotional health and help you manage stress. And that's something that we all need. So again, just in closing, I really want to stress that we're here for you, that we don't just, we're not just saying these things, but we practice them daily. I know my colleagues do. So I just want to thank you again for choosing DPS. We know it's a choice, and we hope that you'll continue to choose us. So with that, I will turn it over to my wonderful colleague, Laura Soldevilla.
Thank you, Ms. Atkins, and good morning, everyone. To conclude our general session this morning, we have a very special presentation by Kayla Beckett, who is a former DPS student. In fact, she was my student at Lucas Middle School in grades 6 through 8. And I could go on and on about what a creative, curious, and talkative middle schooler Kayla was, but it's even more exciting for me to tell you about everything she has accomplished since, because that's really the joy of being an educator, is watching our students grow in their talents and in their purpose over time. Kayla graduated from early college in 2019. She's a nationally recognized poet. She was a WUNC youth reporter. She's a community leader and activist for racial and gender equality. She currently attends UNCG, my alma mater, and she's studying English, African American studies, and media studies. It's my incredible honor to introduce Kayla Beckett's video production of her original poem, We Walked in the Rain. It's coming. I'm gonna try one more time. We are tenacious. Thank you for your patience. This video is available on the New Teacher Orientation website. If you click on We Walked in the Rain, you will see it. I am going to try one more time to show it to you because it is beautiful and really shows what a difference our students make when they leave DPS and go on into the community. Looks like the internet is revolting against us today. I'm going to try one more time because I'm stubborn. Okay, I think we've got it. It's going to be worth the wait. Here it comes. Did you see, was the screen correct for the video? Wonderful.
in tough times, we need to stick together. Then I realized that
I am getting notifications that the video is not streaming on the YouTube channel. So I apologize for that. Please watch it on your own. It is an exceptional piece of work from one of our DPS students. And we are all learning together in this new virtual world, and we will we'll work through these issues together. Thank you.
Laura, thank you. And of technical difficulties, but this happens every day in life as we have entered a new world of virtual learning. So we just want you to know, beginning teachers, that this is something that will happen in our classrooms, but we are tenacious, as Laura said, and we continue to make it happen no matter what the experience might be. Today, you will begin your journey igniting limitless possibilities and walking in the rain for each and every student in Durham Public Schools. This will be the best year ever. So when you return from break at 10 a.m., click on the session titled Excellence Through Equity. Again, welcome to DPS.